What is up, guys? It is time for another episode of Ctrl+Z, episode 6, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. And this week we got a special guest on. That is Laurent, or you know him as Magic.
Hey, what is up, guys?
Unfortunately, we don't have Zach on today. He had some real-life job to go to, so we miss him this week, but he will be back, so don't worry about that. But we do have Mr. Evan Eckert. We rolled him out of bed and got him some coffee, and he's ready to go.
Yeah, it's early, but we'll see.
Usually.
We'll see how this works. Does Evan function at the crack of dawn? I don't know. Let's see it happen live.
Usually we record at night, but Laurent's actually in Belgium, so he kind of flipped our time schedule a little bit.
It's all my fault.
He's special. He's special. You know, we gotta make exceptions for him. So for those people out there that don't know who you are, Magic, just kind of run through real quick what it is you do.
I have been drawing since I was a kid. I kind of rolled into it. Went to college for it. Still doing to college. Still got a year to finish. I mainly work in Photoshop, Illustrator, and a bit of InDesign for like booklets, but not that much. So mainly Illustrator. I think most of the guys kind of know me or see me around.
Yeah.
I don't know what else I could say. I'm just a drawer. Like, I do take on my clients, mainly work like this tattoo type of art, like the more detailed art work stuff.
Yeah. If you guys want to know more about Laurent or you want to check him out, he is on Twitter at It's Magic here.
Yeah, I think
so
I put it in like my lower third.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I don't know if you can see it.
I don't know. Evan's hogging the screen on my end.
Yeah, it's coming too. We'll have links wherever this thing lands. We'll have links to Laurent's stuff as well.
We're just testing out Google Hangouts this time because we're having some issues with Skype. So I'm liking it so far. We just need to figure out a couple things to make it work a little bit more smoothly.
Mm-hmm.
And but a lot of big things happening for the show, guys. You'll see on this video, it'll be going up on our brand new YouTube channel. So if you're watching this, you're probably already there, but if you're listening to us on Spreaker, you can check out the video for this cast at youtube.com/CtrlZcast. It will be up on our YouTube channel, the official channel for the show. So we're really enjoying all the support. You know, we're just, me, Evan, and Zach, we're just a couple guys having fun talking about design, you know, like we normally would anyway. So the fact that you guys want to hear us talk about it, it is really cool.
Every time I hear you say Spreaker, I think you're saying Streaker.
You know what? I don't know where they get that name from, to be totally honest. It's definitely an interesting name, but it's a great service for podcasts and audio-based events.
Pretty cool.
Really easy to use.
They should change their logo to a naked guy running with a speaker.
It's got a little microphone on it. That's great. That's great. So a question that I've been getting a lot, is client acquisition. So most of us are probably in a place now where, for lack of a better term, the clients just kind of come to us because we've been around for a while. But for those new guys out there just getting started in the community, you guys have any suggestions for client acquisition?
Actually I do. Like, once I started out on YouTube, I didn't have clients like right at the moment, so I just used to pick up a random guy who just commented and was like, "Hey, can I make you a banner?" I know it sounds, but it was like 4 years ago. And I started kind of getting used to it, and people were asking in the comments, "Can you make me a banner?" But they used to be like the little channels, like 60 subscribers, 70 subscribers, and I wanted to step it up. And actually, I stepped out and went to Mr. Technical Difficult. I don't know if you guys know him. He used to be on PTFO with like Burns and Jimmy.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually reached out to him. I was like, "Can I do your artwork?" And it was all for free. So he got it all for free. His Twitter, YouTube. But I wanted to have some promotion, so like a shout out in his video, and that really kicked me off because he replied back to me like the second day. In my YouTube inbox, I still remember it like it was yesterday. It was like, "Mr. Technical Difficult," and I couldn't believe it. So I had to like refresh it, and I was like, "It's really him." So I did his artwork together with Josh Inkbite.
Yeah.
He used to do the character, and I created like this little dog, his dog Lola.
Mm-hmm.
And from that moment on, like other YouTubers started contacting me, such as Miss Heart Attacks, YouTubeable, and that was like my setup point to get customers and clients. But it doesn't harm to like reach out. Like people see it like as it's a bad thing to do to reach out to somebody, but it's actually really good. Like it helped me a lot.
Yeah, we kind of touched on it briefly before about how it seems like within the YouTube community especially, you just kind of get that one break, and then everybody else follows suit. If you can land that one known client, somebody that has a large following, then they start spreading the word for you, and kind of snowballs from there.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually did a lot of like just promotional work. Like, do I get a shout out if I make you a YouTube banner? And that was like 2 years ago, but I think it still works. Like, if you can land a really good, solid client that will keep his word and give you a shout out on his channel, you're pretty much launched. It still takes a lot of dedication, though.
Yeah, and it takes a lot of work in between those big clients. You know, you got to kind of keep the ball rolling on it until you get that next big client in.
Mm-hmm.
That process works like outside of YouTube as well. It's I was gonna say my best advice is just to stay active. And also identify what type of clients you want. So depending on what type of clients you're going for and what you want to do, post your work up on different sites and different forums and different social networks are of course like the best way to get something going. But like I noticed a while back, I would get a lot of web work from having a couple websites. I went to web design gallery sites, and at the time you'd think that it was just designers that was cruising through those sites and looking through, seeing what each other did. But there's a lot of clients that go, the potential clients and people just doing random searches on the web, looking for, I need a freelance web designer or something. So if you know what you want to do, first thing I learned over the years is that just go do a search for it, right? And the first few things that come up that are like gallery related, see how you can get involved with those, see how you can get in on them, and just think of it from a client's mindset. Like if I was looking for a freelance web designer, where would I go? Or if I was looking for an illustrator, where would I go? If I just turned Google on and did a search and then try to hook up into those places. So the YouTube scene, though, if that's your target, that's, from what I can tell, that's all on Twitter. So Twitter's your best channel for doing that, as far as I've seen. And I mean, posting on YouTube is it helps, but it's much more a promotion tool than anything else for guys like us. I would have come to find out.
Yeah, and I
Yeah, I
think
find most of my clients on Twitter actually.
Yep.
yeah.
Like even more than from my personal website, from the contact page. Oh, I got a really good question. Um, what do you guys do when you get like people tweeting at you like follow me DM?
We actually
I
we
get that
actually
all.
just we discussed this a couple episodes back
Oh, you
about
did.
how I needed to, well, not this specifically, but how I needed to set up a business contact email, and that's really where I just refer everybody to now,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
Twitter DMs just aren't reliable, because if you go from device to device, you lose a lot of the conversation, and you have to go back to your cell phone or your laptop or your desktop, whichever one you started the conversation on, um, or you lose some of the conversation.
Yeah.
But
No.
would you make a difference if like a really big company, like I'm talking really big, like 1 million followers, and they shoot you a Twitter message saying follow me, I need to get some work done, DM.
I've never seen that happen from a large company. They're not gonna. They don't. Companies like that don't even want that stuff in public half the time. So
Yeah.
they're not gonna. If they do that, it would be something cryptic that they want to DM you just to find better contact information for you. So it's gonna go to email anyways, because it's stuff that on a corporate side they don't want that stuff out on Twitter. They want that stuff tracked through their internal email systems or whatever they use. So, yeah, there's what this whole Twitter YouTube mashup scene is a very different animal as far as like the DMing thing. I mean, even if I go back to like my email conversations I have with clients and stuff, there's no way I could fit any of that into a 180 character DM and then have it block any links I send them. So, I mean, it's for. If it's just for general, like, I don't know, like questions or something, then a DM works fine. But half the time I feel like somebody's just fishing for a follow, and it's like, come on, just if it's really important, just send me an email, because then I can like give you a proper response. You know, I can think about it. I don't have to like write gibberish to try to fit it in this stupid DM window half the time. So not to say that I don't mind the DMs. The DMs are fun, you know, but it's not for a way to connect with the client. It's not optimal. It's you know, it's always a challenge. It ends up causing, in my opinion, more work than needed, and it's just a thought out email would like speed up the process. But,
yeah, I used to use Skype for business contact, but then you just get so many contact requests and you can't keep everybody straight, and it's just like, good Lord. And again, with the device thing, you know, if I use Skype on my cell phone and then I come back to sit down and do the work on my desktop, I got to pull up my cell phone to get the actual conversation, because it doesn't transfer, all of it doesn't transfer to the desktop version of Skype for whatever reason.
Yeah, well,
so
there's
email really is the best.
There's levels of access, right? You don't the way, you know, it's always well, not the way I've always done it is that you're gonna run into a lot of in this line of work, you're gonna run into a lot of people that want something, but you guys aren't gonna be a good fit together to work together, right? For one reason or another. So the email is almost like it's almost like a phone screen for an interview process. You guys can figure out where each other's at, figure out if it's worth both your time, and then if from there it works into like this project's a go. I think as a designer I'd work well for this guy or this person, and this person works well with me, and we have we have chemistry, so. Then it can it evolve. It sounds like dating half the time, but then it can evolve from the email conversation to how, depending on how comfortable you feel, it's a phone call, or that's when I pass over Skype information, because it's quicker to do a real-time chat, of course, but that's kind of how you gauge your clients. If it's going to be a client that is going to the sorry, my computer went to sleep. Okay. As probably as I'm jabbering on, all of our audience is probably snoring too. But I forgot what I was saying, man. But
we were talking about dating and love with your clients.
Yeah, if it's gonna be a client that, unless you're good with it, you know, I don't work well with clients that are gonna be pinging me every 30 seconds wanting to change something, right? If it was off Skype, somebody calling me every 30 seconds saying, no, I've changed my mind, I want to do this, or can we try this, or, you know, I've run into clients like that over the years, and I don't work very well in those type of situations. So you kind of have to gauge how much communication you want to do, and you know, you're in the end, you're trying to get the job done. You're trying to do it to what would be successful in the client's eyes, and how you get there is, you know, how much time does it take to get there. So that kind of helps you figure out how to communicate with that client. And
yeah, so I'd say typical process is client acquisition on Twitter or my website. Sometimes I'll get clients from email, but very seldom does that happen. Usually from Twitter, sometimes from my website. So I'll do the initial consultation and contact via email, and then you know, send them drafts and concepts and stuff via email, and then final product, I will usually get them on Skype to do file transfer.
Yeah,
I find it's the easiest way for file transfer.
Well, even the method how you send files back and forth or send previews back and forth is very dependent on the client. So
yeah.
like a corporate client, I would never send them like a Gyozo screenshot or something, or a screen share. Right? I'm not gonna. It's like I'm not gonna do that. But if it's for somebody that is more of a buddy and we're just kicking around ideas or something, you know, then I'll send them a quick screenshot because we both know how we work. But yeah, you gotta the level of formality changes depending on who you're working with, and it's same thing. Like I was talking to Jared or Sweda, and same thing with pricing. You know, you have to be very careful who you give pricing out to. So it's really dependent on who the client is and what the usage is for. You know, what they're going to use your artwork for, your designs for, determines on even how you figure out how to price your work. So yeah, it feels like half the time walking a tightrope. It's a lot of you know, digitally or over the internet, like filling each other out, for lack of a better term. So.
Well, that's where the business email really comes in handy, because with that email, it's set up specifically for business contacts.
Yeah.
So there's no personal attachment to it at all, and that's what it's for. That email is for business. So if it turns into something where you and the client become friends, you know, like you and Tom, Evan, it can, you know, you can take that to Skype or cell phone or
it's even like
personal email. It just depends, but you have that buffer there with the business email to start out, because you don't know that person, to be totally honest.
Yeah, it's like
how
if
do you guys get back to like emails with only like, hey, can you make me a logo? Because I have absolutely no idea on how to get back. Like, do you reply to those guys too, or you don't at all?
For what?
Like it's just this like subject logo. Hey, can you make me a logo?
No, I usually, because it's for me that to be honest, if someone just emails me and says there's not even you can just kind of tell some emails where the thought of a price or a cost hasn't even gone through the person's head, and depending on where you're at, if you want to continue with a person like that because you need promotion, or you need you know, you're just looking for something challenging to do or something interesting, then it's cool to go ahead and start that conversation up. Depending on where you're at, though, like um, for me personally, my time is super limited, and I can't even the process of going back and forth in an email conversation just to figure out where what a cost would be, and then time and scheduling and all that work just to have the person turn around and say, I've only got $10. Like it's like, okay, well, pay me that $10 because it just took me a half hour to our conversation just took up a half hour of my time. And I hate to sound like money is everything, or time is money, but it's the brutal truth. When you're trying to get bills paid, you're trying to make a living, you got to pay your rent or take care of a family or something. Those are precious minutes going back and forth on email, and you don't get paid for that. So
for me, it's just a hobby right now.
Yeah. If it's a hobby, then it's a whole different thing. If you have another source of income and you're doing it, when I was doing stuff for promotion, the time for emailing, I didn't care. It was it's just part of the process. So again, it just depends on where you're at. If you got time to email and you're cool with it, then that's fine. I don't want to come off sounding like a grumpy Gus though, like, oh, he doesn't do it, he won't, but that's just, it's like corporate environments. There's when I email off, say send an email to an executive, I don't expect a response in 20 minutes. It could take them a couple days to get back, and that's kind of understood because of how busy they are. So
that's another good point about Twitter DMs versus emails. With the Twitter DM, there's that implied rush to it. Like if someone sends you a direct message on Twitter, it's like they're just sitting there refreshing their browser, waiting for you to respond to a Twitter DM.
Check DM.
Whereas an email kind of eliminates that urgency. Like send me the email and then I'll get to it. And whereas a Twitter DM's like, hey, I'm on right now. Let's talk.
Yeah, it's like when you take your car to the mechanic or something. You don't just hand them your keys and you're like, oh, this is what's wrong with it. This is what it's going to cost you. No, it takes them an hour to go through it and figure out what's going on. So yeah.
What do you do with that, Laurent, as far as emails and?
Usually I tend to give them a follow, but I let them explain what they want and all that stuff. Or if they follow me and they're interested in my services, I just don't follow them, but I send them over my Skype and I let them talk and listen to what they want. But right now I have this customer and he's like, I want something cool, and oh my god, I hate it. He's asking me, can you come up with an idea for my channel?
Like do you guys have outside of your design services?
You mean like with no direction?
No, recently, it's just 2 weeks. I have guys coming up to me. Hey, I really like. Whoa. I'm gone.
Yeah, right.
Did we lose him?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Whoa, what happened?
I don't know.
I think
nothing happened for me.
Google took a dump for a split second.
My screen, Is it running again?
Yeah,
I think so.
We're still going.
Yeah.
I think it was like severe lag spike or something. But
yeah, my screen was like, it's doing it again. I'm seeing F in a car.
Well, if it keeps going, we'll have to do a commercial break and restart.
Cut. Take two.
Keep going though. Sorry that it got all wonky. You were talking about it sounded like a client was coming to you with no direction or something, and it was just asking you to make something up.
Lately I've been having these indecisive clients. Like whenever I tweet some workout, like for example, the work I did for Troll Art or like Jimmy, and they come to me like, "Hey, I want something like Jimmy, just different."
Oh. Well, then make it different.
I get a lot of clients that will just that's their initial contact is, I want something like this, and they'll link me one of my previous pieces, and I'm like, yeah, well, I'm not sure what you mean by that, to be honest. Like, I'm not going to just put your name on their design and call it good.
Yeah, I get
So
that
you
a
gotta
lot.
kind
Make it
of
look
work with
cool,
those guys.
Make it sick.
I guess it depends. You know, it's that's when the design challenge part really comes into it. You guys taking off?
Yeah, is that right?
Yeah.
When Rimbai, I realized I can't give him M&Ms because he's going to be outside all day.
Oh, okay.
So we're going to stop by the store and get some jelly beans.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, I love you. I'll see you later.
All right. Sorry. Early morning, everybody's going somewhere.
How do you decide, like, when you want to work together with somebody? Because I hear a lot of people tweeting at me, he doesn't work with people that don't have, like, 1,000 followers, like 10,000 followers. Like, to me personally, it's all about the creative challenge. Like, how challenging is it?
Yeah.
And that's the only thing that matters to me. And so some of the money, like, I'm not a money whore at all, it's just a hobby, but I just can't work on a project for 6-7 hours and then get $50 for that.
Yeah, no. That's well, what's 50 divided by 7? That's the illustration side of things. I don't think it's not, especially when speed art videos are put up, it's not apparent how long those things actually take, and there's a lot of stuff that happens off screen that take hours. Like I just did a logo that had for Louis with the monkey logo, right? And I must have sat and sketched over the course of, I don't know, an hour or so every night for like 3 days, just as I was winding down, and I realized I wanted to put something together, and just trying to find, just sketching, doing a direction for it, and figuring out where I even wanted to.
People don't see.
Yeah, even where I wanted to, and it's like I get asked the question a lot. Well, record that, and it's like, I'm not gonna drag my camera to bed when I'm like just sitting in bed with my sketchbook just because I'm trying to get into that zone. It's like, all right, you want to see video of me sitting on the can sketching? No, you don't. You say yes in the comments, I'm blocking you. No, I'm just kidding. There's a lot of
quickly.
Yeah. There's
Killer Eckert.
There's a ton of concepting that happens off screen, and like in my videos, I don't even like to show the sketch process half the time on screen. It's just been lately that I've been trying to do that because I've tried to think about it beforehand, and the sketch that I show on screen is because I've sketched it about a dozen times off screen, right? Or even before I turn the recording on. So there's that right there. There's a ton of work that just goes into that part, and then
stuff like just putting a mood board together, or like getting inspiration for something.
Yeah, it's
well, and like with illustrations, this is probably true of you guys as well, but with illustrations, you just kind of sit down and just bang out a ton of little thumbnail sketches before you even really get a concept of what you're actually going to go for as far as the design. Even sometimes I'll do each little element, like do a couple of different sketches of each little element, do like a little character face, and then do some, like, let's just, for instance, Minecraft, just do like a little character sketch, and then like do a couple sketches of some swords and some pickaxes and the Minecraft sort of things before I even actually start on what's eventually going to be the final sketch.
Yeah, and that's the real process. That happens. That's part of. There's been only a very rare few that don't do that and still do really high end stuff.
And those are the clients. Those are the clients that come to you with a specific. This is what I want to the T. Then you could kind of narrow your sketches down to maybe just a handful.
I don't really like it when clients are like putting a whole description, like I want this to be that color, this needs to be there.
Well, that's
I like a bit of freedom. I like when they push me in some kind of direction, and then I can just put my own type of style on it.
Yeah. But
I hate it when they're like,
micromanaging.
I want my name there, I want a link there, this and that color, like even with the hex values next to it.
Sometimes those clients can be good to pick up whenever you're kind of busy and you need to do something in a hurry.
Mm-hmm.
Or it can be a good challenge if you got time for it. If you want a different, because everybody works differently. So getting used to a variety of just people and how they operate. It's good to take one of those on occasion. Not all the time, but on occasion.
On occasion.
So kind of back on the question that Laurent posed originally, which is how do you decide which clients to take and which clients to not take? I think a couple things, as far as I'm concerned, are criteria for a client that I'm gonna be willing to work with. First of all, I have to have the time to do it, because I don't want to tell a client at any point, yeah, I can do that, but it's going to be 3 months. I really like to keep my timeline pretty tight between a week and 2 weeks. And if it starts getting over that, if I start getting more clients or an overabundance of clients where I can't get it done in that time frame, then that's when I start turning people away. That's my main criteria, I think. And scope of the project as well. So if someone says, I need Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, a personal website, that's a lot of time for one client. So a lot of times with those guys, I'm extremely picky with the guys I take on for full rebrands.
Well, that stuff generally takes longer than 2 weeks, anyways. For what you're describing, would take, that's when you probably want to piece out the project. You'd probably want to just tackle branding, and then maybe the graphical assets that come off of that. A web page design is totally a separate project, because you can carry the branding over, but then you're looking into the experience of the website and information, the hierarchy of what goes where and what do you show and functionality, and that's a whole different can of worms. That's not typically squeezed into one big project. And then
that's where you got to kind of narrow their focus too. You just say, where is your primary audience? Is it on Twitter? Is it on YouTube? Where is the primary audience? Because that's where we need to start. And if we like the direction that we're going, then we can kind of carry that over to the other social medias or even a website.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And the last bit of criteria I use is, am I going to have fun doing the project? Which is why a lot of times I'll turn away those guys that say, hey, give me something like this, and they link me to one of my previous projects. That's not going to be fun really for me, because I've already done it. Whereas if somebody comes to me and they're like, you know, I want you to like create this whole village scene or something. I don't know. I'm just throwing out random things, but if a client gives me a description of what they want and it sounds like it's going to be challenging and it's going to be fun and the end result is gonna be amazing, then I'm going to take that client over somebody who says, give me something like this.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's my main criteria. Just the creative challenge, and is it fun? Does it fit my art style, if I can call it an art style? Just the way I see things.
Yeah.
Do you guys consider that you have like a separate art style?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very much. I mean, there's certain things where somebody's come over and asked me to do something and then showed me like a reference photo. I'm like, nah, I can't do that. And then depending on how nice they are, maybe I'll refer them to someone that, you know, that I know can do it.
All about the love with his clients.
Yeah. The emails that just make me well, yeah, the emails where someone comes in and says, hey, it's just right away asking for a referral. It's like, woof. You want to come in and ask me if someone else can do this for you? And it's like, I don't know, but yeah, very much. I don't know why I went off on that tangent, but art styles is very much, it's like I probably couldn't illustrate a children's book. It would look too scary, no matter how like cute I tried to make it. Let's know. there's.
I would like us to see a kid's book. All these zombies and skulls going up.
It'd be a kid's book in the way that Tim Burton would write.
Yeah.
It'd be more for adults.
Yeah, it depends on. Everybody has a style, and that's one thing you're looking for when you're going from looking through portfolios to find a designer that fits what you're looking for. Is their style fit what I'm envisioning? So a lot of times though they don't. Someone doesn't know to look for that, and so you'll get you might get emails full of like for me, someone will email over say like studio quality concept art or something. I'm like, I can't do that. You know, I can't. I draw a little bit. I don't know how to do that. So it's.
I find that I will get into a certain style. Like currently, I'm in sort of a vintage kick right now. I'm doing a lot of that vintage style work. But then at the same time, whenever I get into a style and I'm doing too much of it, then I try and change it up to do something different to sort of keep the creative juices flowing, because you can only do so much within one, you can only do so much vintage, so much grunge, so much, high-tech style, that I just don't want to get nailed down into one style, really.
Yeah.
And you kind of sort of evolve too, right? Because like I notice a lot with Lawrence's work. He for a while he was doing he was doing a lot of the pinup girl things. He was doing a lot of those.
No. If you go way back, I was still messing around in Cinema 4D. But back when I was on YouTube, like if you look at my first video, I don't know if you were on YouTube, Pixels. I know Evan was. No. How long have you been on YouTube, Evan?
I don't know. Not very long.
Do you remember that layout where you could like customize everything? It had like buttons on the side, like custom buttons with like for Twitter, YouTube, Facebook on.
Yeah, you could image map something like a banner space.
Yeah, with like all the panels around, and you could even decorate your comment section.
Yep.
Yeah.
If you go way back to it, then you see how I started out. It was like this Cinema 4D stuff, lights on it, grunge textures.
The golden days.
It was fun. It was fun. A lot more live streams back then.
You need to come back to YouTube, by the way, Laurent. Just saying.
I know. I've been. The reason I actually quit is I got so frustrated with whenever I used to work on projects like 2-3 hours in Photoshop, either Camtasia, ScreenFlow, or even Photoshop used to crash. And I was working with Photoshop 4, and it doesn't save. Like if I lose something or my CS6 crashes, it has a recovery file even if you haven't saved it yet.
Yeah.
So I was so frustrated with it that I just I'm not gonna record it. I'm just gonna put it on Twitter, my portfolio. I tweeted out on my Twitter to tweet us some questions. Do you want me to read some of them? The first one is actually a really good one. It's for Evan.
Uh-oh.
Do you GFX?
I plead the fifth.
That's all for us today, guys.
No, maybe a good one is it's from I'm Nixer. What kind of computer do you have? Is it good, bad? Do you need a new one?
Evan does.
Just go on. What's your setup or something?
My answer, everybody, I always get asked, how fast is it? And I say, it's fast enough, and yes, I need a new one.
Yeah, I just got a new computer a couple years ago, and it does the job. The only thing that I need to upgrade is get a second monitor, because currently I'm working off one monitor.
I'm using my TV as an extra monitor. I got it plugged up with an HDMI cable. It's really good, only the colors are totally different. They're all bright. Way too bright, actually.
Yeah, that's kind of the difficulty, right? It's the color variation from monitor to monitor can get real tricky. You could get some serious issues with color differences going from monitor to monitor.
Yeah, the most reliable one is my MacBook I'm using. Whenever I finish something, especially for corporate identities or something that needs to be printed, I always design it on my MacBook because it is so much more reliable.
A question that we got on the Ctrl+Z Twitter, which if you guys don't know what that is, at Ctrl+Z Show, and you can ask us any questions on there. Just tweet it at us and add the hashtag Q&A so we can pick it out for the show. But a question that I got from Miles is Lovely on Twitter, he said, do you guys use contracts when designing for clients, and how do you deal with people who breach contracts or don't pay, or even more prevalent, do chargebacks if you're using PayPal?
We send out the dogs.
I got a bruiser that I send.
Yeah, that's another reason. Actually, that is another good reason why you gotta severely scope out your clients, because if you're gonna get some jerk that's gonna go do a chargeback, that's the worst.
Do we all use PayPal for payment?
We have to half the time. Yeah. I mean, unless you have use another sort of payment processor,
Yeah, I think we all use that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I use PayPal all the time. But got the business account kind of thing, or PayPal Pro, where you can invoice people and they can pay with a credit card.
Yep. But they can still do a chargeback on that. Actually, anybody can call their credit card company and do a chargeback on something.
Yep. You can I think there's actually some criminal stuff that you can do against that, where if somebody receives a product from you and then claims a chargeback on it, there can be some criminal allegations on that. Obviously not for one project or something like that, but it's technically a theft. Technically they're stealing.
That's another reason why I don't use DMs, because then you have the conversation documented in an email of some sort. So
always, always, always save your conversation, whether you save it on the service if you're using Skype or email, or even screenshot it. And the file transfer is the most important thing. You know, if you can show proof that you transferred them the files, there's nothing that they can really do.
Yep. And there's a bunch of methods you can use to do that. I actually, that's another reason why after you and the client figure out the details of the project and what's going to get paid and when and all that stuff. That's why it's best to have all that stuff in email, because even Skype, somebody can go through later and delete their messages. So if you didn't get a screenshot up front, you're kind of
yeah.
You can go back and get that original conversation, but it's going to take you weeks to do it. So
yeah.
You have to keep it all documented. There's contracts sometimes, but that's really when it's more high dollar, and some people will tell you contracts for everything, and that's not a bad idea. But I don't know. It depends on if it's a client that might be kind of sketchy, then a contract would help. But even then, if someone's going to do a chargeback on you, they're going to do it regardless if they sign something. They might just claim that they didn't sign it. So it's how enforceable can you get, and then if you have to go one step further and do legal stuff, who can afford it? So it's kind of like you send out the dogs.
One thing that I do with clients that I don't know personally is I will send them a detailed invoice, and you can actually do it through PayPal. It'll allow you to create a custom invoice, and then it outlines everything that they're going to get and what they're getting charged for, so that way if they come back and say, well, I didn't know that this was going to be charged and all this stuff, you've got the invoice that they paid, which is an agreement, basically as good as a contract that says, I agree to pay this for this. So invoices are a great way to avoid any sort of gray areas in a dispute.
Well, an invoice is pretty standard. I send out an invoice in Excel. It's just an Excel file, but there's nothing in there that legally enforces them to pay it, right? So it's that's where the contract comes in.
Yep. What do you do, Lauren?
I never work with contracts. I know I need to do them, but like Evan is saying, even if they sign it, they're not going to care about a chargeback or something. They're still going to do it.
Yeah, it might be better. It's going to be better proof to PayPal, but you're still going to have to go through the process.
Like, I don't know in the USA, but don't you need to like get a tax number and all that stuff in order to have like a legal contract?
Yeah, you have to have a small business license, I think. EIN number.
Or at least a DBA.
Yeah.
With a certain amount of profit every year or every month, because I know that's how it works here.
Yeah, you have to. You have to report it.
It's impossible for a student to like afford this and be legal with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's definitely a limit to how much you can make before they force you to set up a DBA. But I don't think there's anything on the lower end. If you're making a couple $100 a month or something on it, I don't think there would be an issue there taxes wise. But if you start getting up there to where it's basically a second income and you're not claiming the taxes on it, then you're going to run into some issues.
I got another question. Can I read it? Because it has been tweeted like 5-6 times to me. I don't know if you covered in your other episodes, but where you get your inspiration from and who are your inspirations? Is that something you guys covered in
I think this is I think that's a question that every designer's probably answered at least 100 times.
I know.
Answer it again,
But
Nick.
it is a good question. It is a
Maybe
good
open my
question.
Word document.
I
Sorry, I was just gonna say we
spend
haven't actually named names before. You know, that might be that'd be
That's
cool.
true.
Other designers
That's
and
true.
artists and stuff. But sorry to cut you off. Go, Nick.
That's all right. I spend an egregious amount of time on Behance, just looking at things and making myself depressed about how not good I am compared to some guys. But specifically, if I had to list inspirations, Sueda is probably one of my recent inspirations. That guy is just so next level. But like a lot of guys that I enjoy their work, Evan, Rated, Magic. There's a guy, Scott Carroll, that I really like his stuff. He does more like,
I think I know him.
yeah, he does more like advertisement type stuff and photo edits. Than he does like YouTube banners and things like that. But I like his work. There's just so many to name. I'm always like, if I'm online, I'm always looking at something pertaining to design. I'm not one that like gets on and just spends hours watching cat videos or something like that. I'm always browsing and looking at typography is a particular interest of mine. So
Yeah.
But mainly Behance.
yeah, mainly Behance is what I use to browse for inspiration.
Have you guys heard about these corrugated galleries? I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. It's like these huge collections. Like if you go to Behance and you go to connections and galleries, like you can follow like how's it called, like Adweek talent, and then be active on their site. But you only need your Behance portfolio, and it automatically transfer to like other sites.
Oh,
It's a really good thing to like build your audience, and potential clients. Like I get a lot of clients from Behance that found me through I think it's Ad Talent and then Student Showcase.
Huh. I had no idea that even existed.
But it's something, yeah, I found it out. I saw it recently, and then you have like these categories like packaging design, design surf, typography surf, and it's like a collection of all the best typography things ever made. It's really cool, actually.
I'll have to check that out. Hold on. Fixing my mic.
Yeah,
Punch it.
I just recently started using Behance to actually upload my work. I've used Behance for a while, but it's kind of like with YouTube. I actually signed up for YouTube several years before I started posting content to YouTube. So it's kind of the same thing with Behance. I've been using it for a long time, and then just recently started uploading my work to it.
The only thing that I had a Behance portfolio probably for 3 or 4 years. I just never posted because it takes so many time to get like a good presentation out there.
Yeah, there's definitely a presentation expectation on Behance. Like, you can't just kind of like, oh, here it is. You gotta kind of make a whole production out of it.
That's what I do. I just like, oh, there it is. I was thinking about that the other day, though. I do get a kick of seeing more of the background of a project and the different ways to present it. And I need to do that more often. But it just boils down to time.
Yeah,
good way.
It takes a lot of time to like put a whole presentation together, because I know like you can upload like one image that you created yourself. Like I don't know how big and how tall it is, or like the right dimensions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But usually I just upload separate images and reorder them, put some text next to it.
Yeah.
Yep.
If I had to do a more presentation thing for a like a larger client for some reason, I would. But if it's for my own stuff, half the time it's like I'm just happy I found like the final version of the file. I still had it on my hard drive somewhere.
That's another question I actually get from time. Well, actually, before I go into that, let's I'll give Evan a chance to answer the question about design inspiration and people who he particularly enjoys.
As far as inspiration, that I mean, it comes from just wherever. I've found inspiration, and it just it just kind of hits whenever it does. Even if it's I'll go out and pace my backyard for a good 20 minutes until something, the thought process, just something starts to kick in and I find a route or something. Inspiration.
Real quick, I want to jump in.
Yeah.
Does anybody else just think there's some kind of magical quality to your shower that just produces ideas?
It used to. Now it just makes me sleepy.
75% of my design ideas I get in the shower. Like, if I could get a waterproof sketchbook, I would never get out of the shower.
or like at night, like you want to go to bed at like 2 a.m. and then your brain starts working and firing all types of ideas, and I want to sleep.
Yeah, you keep a sketchbook next to your bed at all the time.
Designer tip 101: always have a sketchbook within arm's reach.
Yep.
I was just showing Laurent my sketches earlier.
Yeah, this is like my sketches. I got a few laying around. I always like trace them on this like transparent paper.
Mm-hmm.
And then put them on. It's just print paper actually. Nothing too special.
I was telling him I'm trying to find like a portfolio sort of looking sketchbook that is a little more inconspicuous than like a spiral notebook or something like that.
I carry these things around. These are these can't see it. It's great. I think they're Japanese or something. I got them from like the Japanese 99-cent store, and they're these it's just gridded paper, but it works pretty well. These little 5mm
Oh, it has the grids on it?
Yeah, I like graph paper. I've always liked it. And then you can tell it's not English because the top says, "This section pad might be wonderful writing feelings for you." So it wasn't quite translated all the way, but they're dirt cheap, and they didn't have a company name on them. I don't even know who makes this stuff, to be honest.
This is a really good question.
Yeah.
If you're not for design work, what job do you see yourself doing? To all hosts. So if you weren't a designer, what would you be doing right now? I think that's what he's trying to say.
What do you think, Nick?
I don't know. I have a job outside of the design field already, so I'd probably just be doing that. Probably be spending a lot more time doing things outdoors.
Yeah. Yeah. My whole family is firefighters, so I probably would have gone that route. If it wasn't that, I'd probably, I don't know.
I would have been a pilot if I was good at math, which I'm not.
I have good vision for that too.
Yeah.
Well, for military piloting, anyways.
You have to be good at math to be a pilot?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I think so.
I would think like geography would be more pertinent skill for a pilot.
I don't know. Never been a pilot, by the way.
All right, so I sidetracked you there, Evan, but you're talking about finding inspiration from everywhere.
Oh, yeah. So go pace around in a an area with like bushes and stuff, that helps. If you have some of my best inspiration though comes from over the years. I've had some really good friends in guys I'd consider brothers that are they have very creative minds. So even just talking to them on a phone call would get my brain going on to different things, and a lot of inspiration comes there. As far as looking at other designers and artists, lately I've been like one form of inspiration I've always had is I grew up on the skateboard art. So the art that used to be on like old Pal Peralta boards in Santa Cruz and stuff like that. So I follow a lot of those artists on Instagram and just get a kick out of what they're doing. So lately it's there's a guy I've been watching named Greg Mike, who does like little monster face illustrations and stuff, and he did some work for Real skateboards, and that's how I found him. Was I saw his art for Real, and he's got a lot of cool stuff. I've noticed I used to buy a bunch of like design and illustration magazines, and I've noticed that my Instagram account has basically become that new form of magazine. So I've noticed that a lot of people that I follow on Instagram are all illustrators, and well, I'd say 90% of them are illustrators in what they're up to, and just seeing what they're doing. So yeah, I spend a few minutes every day just cruising through Instagram and seeing what
Instagram is a really good source.
Yeah.
Evan probably gets mad at me because he's scrolling through and he's got real good design inspiration. Then he comes across pictures of me and my family, and he's like, yeah,
not at all.
Timeline. You're interrupting my flow.
Inspiration comes from everywhere. It's yeah. It just, I don't know. Maybe that's just how our brains kick in. It doesn't. I think there was a point where I could attribute design block to where I was as far as looking at inspiration stuff. I found that if I spent too much time looking at say a site like Behance, for example, that's when I noticed my style would start shifting into someone else's, even subliminally, and then I would like, it was harder, how do I put it? It was harder to come up with stuff. So I realized that if I spent too much time just looking at gallery sites and stuff, that it was actually impacting my workflow, and so yeah, you should definitely check sites like that out. But I would say kind of do a mixture of, where you just go wander around and take a walk and get your brain going there, or, like Nick, take a shower and get the unfiltered stuff coming back in your head, and it helps to keep a good combination of that stuff going on. So yeah, there's certain points where you just got to step away from the computer, or these days from your phone, and just go do something. Go do something else, and let your mind wander. I've talked to entrepreneurs and business people in the internet space over the years, and there's guys that got ideas for successful companies while they were mowing the yard or something, or just at a coffee shop staring off into space. Some of the best ideas they ever came up with just appeared there, having conversations with other people, that even random people, just in conversation they'd come up with entire business plans. So you never know where it's going to come from. I think the theme here, though, is removing yourself from distractions to allow your mind there you go.
focus. if you're in front of a computer or in front of your phone or the TV or around family members or friends even, your mind is processing so many different things. But when you're in the shower, you're taking a walk, or you're mowing the lawn, your brain really isn't processing too much information at that time, and it allows you to have the room to think about things, even if you're not specifically saying, all right, let's think about design, and maybe if you're just taking a walk just to relax, and then sometimes those things will hit you because your brain's not distracted by so much other stuff.
We were talking about the contracts earlier, and that gave me an idea for something I could do to my website to maybe do kind of like an in-between. I was thinking, when you said when you're talking about the invoices and a checkbox type thing, I'm thinking, you could probably do kind of like an in-between contract thing that just by setting up a form on your website have some sort of way to capture a contract setting without actually having to send out a massive contract. But yeah, that has nothing to do with design, but it gave me an idea for something else, just our conversation. So yeah, these things definitely help.
and I think Evan brought up a really good point about having like-minded people around you that you can go to whenever you're struggling with ideas. So having other designers and just creative-minded friends around can be a priceless asset.
Characters. Look for characters. Surround yourself with crazy people.
Yeah, I can imagine a 30-minute conversation with Tom would probably get some creative juices flowing.
Heisenberg, that all fell out of his head.
I was about to ask you that.
I watched that whole live stream.
That's why I pull my kids in too, right? How the sticker thing, because it was like perfect. I mean, I see them drawing stuff at the kitchen table on construction paper, and it's just like, I wish I could still get into that mindset, when I was 6 years old and 8 years old and drawing crazy stuff, and because nowadays I could just tap into that and try to peel that stuff back out of my convoluted head and make some cool stuff. But yeah, not to say my kids are characters, they are, but they're it was that was a cool little and actually this brings up, so I've been doing a mentor type thing for this fractal group, and I was I'm pulled into their Skype conversation. I'm pointing at my other monitor because the Skype conversation's over. And they it looked like they were going at each other, right? Like somebody was angry with somebody else, and there was all this like craziness, and so I woke up to it and I'm looking at it and I'm like, what's with the drama, guys? And I don't chime in very often, but I'm like, I thought it was about graphics here. What's what's with the hostility? And they're like, oh, we're just playing around, that's just how we are. And I'm like, I kind of remember those days, when that used to happen. And then I said, well, here's a challenge. Why don't, instead of typing that stuff out, why don't you each design it and send it back and forth? And one guy did, so it was like, so and so sucks, but it was all in like graphical, cool design form. I'm like, yeah, keep doing that. So even Skype conversations can turn into there's probably somebody could do a whole series on taking these design groups that they're in and just pulling random quotes and making designs out of them and putting that up somewhere. You come up with the most outlandish, crazy stuff.
I could probably make a whole T-shirt store.
Yeah. Skype conversations gone wrong.
Just call it Skype shirts.
Yeah. Yeah, but there's it comes from everywhere. It's definitely stay in contact and surround yourself with other people. They don't have to be designers by any means. They don't have to be. Yeah. They could barely work a pencil, but you could, they're. Yeah.
Yeah. Whenever I was a kid, I actually had developed a little comic that I would always draw, just like do little storyboards and stuff on, and
Yeah.
I should try and see if I can find any of the drawings anymore and try and recreate it. But it was such a long time ago. I doubt I have it still.
Well, the inspiration question again, Laurent. What do you think? What inspires you these days?
Pretty much your answer, Evan. So, just daily stuff, like not specifically looking at Behance, Instagram. Just when walking around, like for example, seeing a commercial on TV can inspire me so much, or like just a billboard, like some advertisement you see outside.
Yeah. Yep.
It just kicks in, especially when I'm about to go to bed, even more than the shower thing from Nick. But just when I'm laying down, I'm getting so much ideas, and I'm like, I gotta remember them tomorrow.
Yeah.
Usually I forget them, so.
Yep.
It's a well established point on the show that my procedures and things are unorthodox.
Because Nick likes silence, right? You like silence, and
Yeah.
you said something else that. What did you say? It was
I like Flash, and I think that
yeah, you like Flash and you like silence, and that to me that's like completely bizarre. But hey, it works.
And I said a couple episodes back that web programming is therapeutic for me.
Yeah. It's like something my dad says. His therapy is to go and pull weeds in the front yard, and that
I go fishing. Like whenever I got this block, I go fishing.
Fishing,
yeah.
that's
See,
a good.
You probably
That's a good one.
saw some pictures on Twitter when you were like a ugly-ish.
You got nothing but time when you're fishing, I think. Depending on how good you are at it.
I'm sorry I have to interrupt, but I need to make it to my appointment in like 20 minutes. Well, I
Okay.
need to leave right now because it takes me about 20 minutes.
Okay.
Well, I guess that's a good spot to call this episode done.
There's one more open question.
Okay.
You guys want me to read it?
Yeah. You
Yeah.
got time?
If a train is traveling at 17 pencils an hour, how will Rick determine the velocity of the universe?
Good
I
lord.
think that perfect ender.
Did you say 70 pencils an hour?
Yeah, if a train is traveling at 17 pencils an hour, how will Rick determine the velocity of the universe?
Ah, yeah. See, is there really a chair?
Jeez.
This is your
Yeah, I
answer.
gotta make it to my appointment. Sadly enough, because what is Evan doing with a spoon?
Because that's your answer. That's the universe in pencils. Figure that out. You're a genius.
All right, guys. Well, we appreciate you guys listening in, and we definitely appreciate Lauren taking the time to come on the
It was
show.
really fun being on the show. Am I the only European guy that's been on the show, or not?
We had Robert last week.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right.
And but definitely the scheduling thing is a nightmare for all of us. But we hope to have you back on sometime soon, and we will we'll look forward to having you on again. And any last comments, Evan or Lauren?
I hope I don't kill the audio on this one.
Please.
It's probably me with my foreign accents.
Nope. Good show. We'll catch you guys next week.
Yeah, it was a real honor to be on the show, and it was fun.
Cool. Thanks for
Really
stopping
enjoyed
by,
it.
Lauren.
Yep.
No problem.
Love you, Nick.
God.
Love you too, Nick.
Enjoyed it.
Love you, Evan.